Second half we get into the Shakur Shannon thing. I know people wanted me to speak on that live wise, and somebody hit me up, and I keep him anonymous, and he told me he was going with somebody. He said Conor faked that injury. This is all allegedly. He said he's a cokehead. This is not me saying it. He's a cokehead, wanted to pay another payday. He says for sure he had to sell it after the first kick, so he did it again. He faked it for the money. I got some voice messages that basically said that same thing, in that he could be fighting Mayweather in a rematch with Zuffa. So it's been rumored that Floyd is going over to Zuffa. And now they're saying Conor could be going over to Zuffa. So I double checked, so I'm still kind of waiting to hear back. But they said they've been trying to make the rematch for the past 2 years, since 2024. Conor wasn't taking the fight because Dana White allegedly get 40% of the money like he did from the first fight, allegedly. That was taking so long. That's Blanks saying, I don't know about right now, but I'm going to ask. So he said, I'm going to ask. So for the most part, it's being said on the UFC side of the street that Conor McGregor is going over to Zuffa to get into the boxing ring with Floyd Mayweather. Now, I guess he really was trying to get Bud into the boxing ring, from what I understand. That was what they was really trying to do. Bud said he done her, Bud said the offer wasn't real, but I heard some people over the Bud team say the offer was real. I'll leave it at that. So they said that it was going to take more than 200 M's to, get Bud to come back. Heard the offer is about 200 M's. And I think they were trying to get Bud to step into the octagon or do a 1-on-1. So I think it was 200 split between two fights. I think one was going to be in the octagon and one was going to be in the boxing ring. When you're not desperate, you can make those choices. When you're desperate, some people would just say, I need the money. And, now one interesting thing about the McGregor Mayweather situation is this. I think people probably forgot about that. Like, what's going to happen with Pacquiao? Is Dana White going to help Floyd return that money? That's what I want to know. Is Dana White going to help Floyd return that money? And if not, did Floyd return the money? Is some people who don't believe Floyd Mayweather broke. Rick Ross just came out here yesterday and said he didn't believe Floyd Mayweather was broke after all that money. So then, Mayweather returned the money. I know he got cleared to do exhibitions after he won the case in court to fight the Greek kickboxer, which event, I don't know where that stands at right now. So, I don't know where they at, but I know he had the victory in court. So I don't know what CSI, whatever, do he got to get him some bread back? Do he got to get him some bread back for him to go on? Did Dana White take care of the money? But apparently Zuffa's alleged big idea, and allegedly that came from that side of the street, is that's the plan, is to make Mayweather and Conor McGregor. So, I mean, shit, it is what it is, I don't know where the Pacquiao fight stand at. Is, brothers in my comment section and on social media saying, well, they need to bring up the fact Pacquiao broke too. And, at the end of the day, yeah, Pacquiao was borrowed against with points, interest on from Bob Arum, and Pacquiao's had his legal troubles that allegedly Al Heyman helped take care of. But yeah, this ain't no different. All of them then, went out like, they lost some bread. It's just the brothers are saying like, oh man, y'all don't talk about Pacquiao losing no bread and this, that, the third. Well, the big thing is Mayweather. Pacquiao wasn't as ignorant with, shoving that money down people's faces. People got to understand Floyd was shoving the money down people's faces. Conor McGregor was shoving the money down people's faces. People tend to forget that type of stuff. When you a little meek and you graceful, or you ain't, shoving the shit down people's faces, people ain't gonna be as harsh on you. But, if this they big thing, is doing McGregor and Mayweather, is it gonna be on Netflix? Pretty sure Netflix will put the bread up. But in general, Most people are saying, let me get to this point, are saying that the kick was fake. He really didn't hurt his leg, and that was what the insert was. What I just read, they were saying that the kick that he did, he really didn't hurt his leg. That's what they saying. He really didn't hurt his leg. It was a fake kick. He came back for a money grab. He didn't hurt his leg. So I mean, can I believe it? I mean, absolutely. You know what I'm saying? I definitely can see him doing something like that. I mean, um, what do you have to gain from it? Was you trying to get out of a contract from UFC? But they're saying behind the scenes, people are saying that, like I said, I woke up, I kind of, I went to sleep, I kind of seen something about it, went to sleep, got a message. They, some people, with some that's plugged in is saying that he took a dive, that he took a dive. Now, I mean, that's for y'all to understand. I mean, people act like fixed fights is something of the new millennium. Fixed fights been going on since the beginning of boxing. I heard they about to wrap up the Godfather of Harlem. What's the Godfather of Harlem? Muhammad Ali is, they have a storyline about season two. They got Muhammad Ali. They trying to get Muhammad Ali to take a dive in there. And he said, Muhammad Ali said he don't take no dives. Make sure y'all thumbs up the video, share the video, subscribe to the channel. All right. Muhammad Ali said, he don't take no dives. So don't necessarily surprise me none if you feel like he took a dive. I mean, MMA is kind of, Twitter, tweeting that, Twittering that, or they call it tweeting that line of boxing where they taking people money and they not getting the return. They not getting the return on their investment. So boxing, MMA is going that line. MMA is really crashing hard. You know what I'm saying? MMA is crashing hard. It's nowhere near the popularity that it once had. And, Dana White, in the UFC's, endeavors, greed, their greed is what really did it, because they should have just put the money up and did Conor McGregor and did Conor McGregor and did, not Conor McGregor, but did John Jones and Francis Ngannou. But they didn't want to pay guys what they was worth. So for the most part, you got to just think maybe the intent is to kill the UFC. You know what I'm saying? Because right now, had they made the fights that they had to make and they fed their fighters the way they were supposed to feed, at least they top fighters, they could have surpassed boxing pretty easy right now. But where boxing is dropping down, UFC is even dropping down at a faster rate. So right now, you got people, you look at the Danny Garcia Lara fight, now you got Errol Spence coming out here talking about he basically, took a dive versus Terrence Crawford. So then when you got that controversy going on, as the hot topic in boxing, now you got Conor McGregor, people behind the scenes thinking Conor McGregor was, did that shit. He did that and took the money. People spent their hard-earned money flying out there, going to that event, all that type of stuff. And then you turn around and this is how you repay your fighters. Your fight fans. Did Max Holloway deserve that? No. Conor McGregor, I looking at it, respectfully looking at it, I can see why some people would say, well, this ninja took a dive. So where UFC, if they would have spent a little bit of money, they could have took off from boxing. And now they sit here and they say boxing is a limited sport, and it's a case why some people will say, well, this ninja took a dive. So where UFC, if they would have spent a little bit of money, they could have took off from boxing. And now they sit here and they say boxing is a limited sport and it's a caveman sport. But then you got Conor McGregor couldn't get Terrence Crawford in the ring. You got Conor McGregor couldn't get Crawford to cross over. Probably don't want to fight Jake Paul. And what he got to do now? Allegedly, he crossing over to fight Floyd Mayweather. This is why boxing is king. Now we're gonna get into some of the, undertone disrespect from boxing, the UFC is shown. You know what's so funny is boxing don't care enough about the UFC to disrespect the UFC. That's how you know boxing is ahead of the curve. Boxing don't give a fuck about the UFC. Real talk, boxing don't care enough about the UFC to sneak this them on any type of level. But McGregor and Mayweather is the vibe. I mean, let me ask y'all this: if McGregor and Mayweather is kind of where they want to take it to, my number one question is this: if this is where they want to go, how did Conor McGregor doing that versus Max Holloway? How did that help? Literally, how did that help promote this fight? That's what I would love to know. How did that help promote this fight? How did that, how does that help promote Mayweather and Conor McGregor, two past prime fighters, two washed up has-beens, two people with money problems? I want to know if that's where we going at, it with. How did Conor McGregor, pulling this whoopty blam on the fans? How did this help How did this help promote Mayweather and McGregor? That's what I would like to know. But let's see what Max said.
I told the ref, stop the fight. He doesn't want to fight. I was like, bro, his demeanor is right. And then he said fight the first time. So I was like, okay, stand up. So I backed up. He stand up, and then he tried to do this hop step where he hop forward, hop back, and then he did it again. And then when he went back, he just kind of grabbed his leg, and he screamed. He's like, ah. And I was telling the ref, come on, bro. Like, what you want me to keep it? Like, this guy he brought his kids to the fight. You know what I mean? Like, I ain't trying to beat up a wounded dog.
Hey, man. Unfortunately, sometimes you got to do what you got to do. I love that, man. I like Max Holloway, one of my favorite mixed martial artists. I get it, but I would have broke that motherfucker leg in half in front of his kids. He don't give a fuck about beating up old motherfuckers and shit. That man, I would believe what I heard behind the scenes that McGregor took that swimming board dive allegedly. I believe that, bro. Watching that shit, I looked at him like, okay. But coming out there early, the first kick or the second kick is where he hurt his leg, and then that motherfucker didn't want to fight, bro. All that money that Conor McGregor got, bro. Man, Conor don't want to fight, bro. You know how you let me explain this. Like, you get all that money, and what's more important to these ninjas is the fame. You get all that fame, cool. But you lose all that money and you try to get it back, you can't get back. You can't find that motivation again. You can't find that motivation again, bro. You can't find that motivation. You can't find that hunger when you was broke. Now that you didn't taste the caviar, filet mignon, now that you didn't knock down so many bad bitches, you didn't have your way. You can't go back to being that starving guy. Even in you in a situation where you are a starving guy, right? You need the money. You can't get that initial hunger back because you're not as young anymore. You're not as spry anymore. So that initial trying to get that hunger back, man, that's all dead for him. That's dead for him. And one other thing, kind of speaking on him and Mayweather, right? You know what's so funny about him and Floyd Mayweather, bro? That nobody really speaking on is that Mayweather doing everything in his power not to rematch Pacquiao in a real fight. Mayweather is doing everything in his power not to rematch Pacquiao in a real actual fight. Mayweather is scared to death of Pacquiao. Now, maybe he feel like, hey, man, we ain't got enough money between the two to pay for drug testing. Mayweather was, truth be told, man, and everybody behind the scenes know this, from Showtime to HBO to managers, everybody and their mother rolling up in Cadillac doors on Vogues, right? They know this. Mayweather never was going to fight Manny Pacquiao. Showtime, seeing how low his numbers got, and they forced him to fight Pacquiao, even when he's at his knees and and basically about to accept defeat. He still don't want to fight Manny Pacquiao. This ain't, oh, I don't want Pacquiao to be on my level. I don't want Pacquiao to make a name. This nigga was scared of Manny Pacquiao. All them years, bro, he was scared of Manny Pacquiao. He was scared of Manny Pacquiao. If you didn't believe it then, you got to believe it now. Even his father in the corner was like, man, what you scared of this guy? He's scared of Pacquiao. So the Pacquiao fight was probably going to get him back on his feet, making some bread, right? He was going to make some big money, get back on his feet. And even though he can lie in these interviews that he don't need money, he'd rather be broke. He'd rather have, be broke than rematch Manny Pacquiao. He's scared. He was always scared of Manny Pacquiao. He was always scared of Manny Pacquiao. He was always scared of Manny Pacquiao. So you got to understand, he never was going to give Pacquiao an opportunity. Crazy, man. It's crazy. He never wanted to fight the man. So now, he's trying to fight Conor McGregor, and they probably going to end up paying off his debts. I feel like they're going to end up paying his debts off. They're going to end up paying his debts off to they're going to pay his debts off to them CSI people, and he going to sign over to Zuffa if the truth.